Welcome back to part 2 of the lessons I learned in 2022. Let's begin. What you focus on, you get and want more of. This is a bit of a reflection type one, so just take a minute and think about this. Next one, your words are like money. Keep the currency high so people listen to you when you speak. Act valuable, get treated like you're valuable. By being honest, decisive, a listener, and speaking last. Communication is double-sided, and speaking useless things has a negative effect on the speaker and the listener. So it's our duty for us and to society and to who you surround yourself with and your friends and everyone to have like a minimalistic approach to speaking. I have this rule in communication where I only say something to someone if they're getting some value from it. And only sometimes it's for the benefit of myself, like when I'm asking for a favor. So if I'm telling them something personal, there must be a reason for me to share it, which ties back to the next lesson I learned, which is have a goal in mind on what you're trying to complete during this deep work session, for example. That's what I call time blocks where I do some work, my deep work sessions. If you don't have one, you can do so much but not even feel accomplished because you never set a goal or like a measure for yourself. This could also be applied to communication. I really think that's like important sometimes to have an end goal in mind when you go talk to someone, for example, you approach someone. This is obviously not built for all circumstances, like when you're going out with your friends and you just want to have fun. You don't want to think too much about what you're saying. You just, go with the flow. But in certain contexts, this is essential for a good conversation. Love people for who they can be and not who they are. I learned this from Jordan Peterson. It's also especially true in relationships. And because if you actually care for someone, you'd want the best for them by being fully honest. I shouldn't be scared of the possibility that someone else doesn't have an answer for my question. Because it's like sometimes you have private questions that you want to ask, but you never get to asking them, whether it's to someone you know or just a random person in the street. But people love talking about themselves, and especially when the question is interesting and never been asked before. All I'm gonna say is that you don't know the answer to 100% of the questions you don't ask.
Stop it. Get some help.
Everyone has a story, and if you just ask good questions and you're all ears, it's a beautiful thing for real. And remember, it's scarce. I heard from another YouTuber that he took these convos for granted when he was back in university, and he just realized now that they don't happen as often. Okay. God is love, and when you have an act on love, you can't do wrong. That's actually a quote from someone I know I miss a lot. And I've been getting in touch with that feeling like love recently with myself, not with anyone else. And I have a whole lot of things I could talk about, but I'll leave it for another video. Let me know if you're interested. Smiling around people is my coping mechanism. I realize that when I don't know how to act, I just have this awkward smile sometimes. Try to notice what's yours. One of the biggest ones are acting like you have something important to do in your phone, when in reality you're just avoiding a situation. And most of the time, it's something that's important, like that situation that you're just scared to face. Don't make life more absurd than it already is. Back when I was working on a minimum wage job that was like 1 hour away by bus, I had to walk for like 10 minutes to reach the bus stop. I'd always leave when there was like 4 minutes left for the bus to arrive, so I'd have to run and catch it. I'd catch it most of the time, but even when I can just take the next bus, because I used to go early, so I can just take the next bus, and it wouldn't be a problem. But it's cool because you challenge yourself, but it's unnecessary stress on yourself. And like the world already has a lot of stress, especially as a full-time university student. you should try to minimize the things that stress you out to the most. Another thing I learned is that your ability to focus is highly dependent on your mental capacity. And if your brain is constantly filled with stressors, then it has no capacity to focus and learn new information, which is what university is all about. Communication is the most important thing in relationships. Redo your day. I actually got that from Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor. He said that, I'll quote him right now. Imagine you already lived today, how are you going to live it? Which is probably the wrong or not the best way, the non-intentional way. Imagine you did live it, and then imagine you got a second chance for that day. It makes you more intentional in what you're going to do, right? And it makes you notice all the ways your day could go wrong, and basically gives you the ability to plan ahead. Quick side note, I just realized that this isn't actually a quote from him. It was just someone who was talking about him. That's what he said, so I just quoted that guy who was talking about Viktor Frankl. Yeah, back to the video. Fuck your pride. Go for what your heart wants. Look at people when you're saying something important. Makes them kind of forced to listen and not cut you off. Inspire people to reveal something about them by doing that yourself. The key is not to reveal too much in one go and like heavy stuff, just tiny bits of absorbable information. The key word is absorbable. Crazy how much our actions are based on previous experiences. I realized that while watching a TV show called Lost, where like the plot of the story, what the thing is all about is a commercial plane crashes in an island, but that's how it starts, and we know nothing about the characters. But as we go through the show, they give us small clips of their life before the crash, and they show us how that experience influenced their decisions right now in the island. And everyone has their own stories that no one else in the plane knows about except us. And we just see how the reasons they act a certain way, basically. Also, one good thing to do is to go through unique experiences, because that's how you learn more about yourself. All right. Do your hard work before eating and the easy work after eating. So the reason is because when we eat, our dopamine levels spike, which means we can use eating as a reward for doing hard work, for example, or whatever hard work you're doing. I'm actually gonna go eat dinner right after recording this video, for example. Also, after your dopamine levels get spiked, it goes below the normal levels, so our motivation gets reduced. And that's why I think you should keep the easy tasks or not even do any tasks after eating. Like, plan your tasks before eating better than after eating. And that's also the part of the reason why we feel tired after eating, because our dopamine levels go below the normal levels after eating and after it gets spiked. Yeah, and this concludes my list of the biggest lessons I learned this past year. To be honest, I could probably make a YouTube video for each one of these lessons, so let me know what's one lesson you would be interested to learn more about. With all that being said, if I had to tell you one thing to change,
Just small, more.